Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Bad Times, Good Stories podcast. My name is Joe Flanders. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope your summer's going great. I just wish you nothing but the best as you're listening to this. I'm doing pretty well. I'm very excited about today's guest, someone I've known for nearly 7 years. I've done a lot of projects with him. That's Patrick Fogarty. He, along with our friend Lee Page, were foundational blocks of Average Joe, my series that, if you're not familiar, you can watch it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is The Joe Flanders. We did 3 seasons of it, in which I play a bumbling idiot version of myself navigating the dating world, and Patrick was there from the beginning. We've also made a feature film together that is available on Amazon called Welcome to Forever. It's free for Prime members. Again, that's Welcome to Forever. Tonally very different than Average Joe. It's a little darker, but really proud of both of those things. We've done a bunch of stuff together. Currently, you can see both of us on The Andy Show with my cousin, Andy Biersack. You can go to theandyshow.tv to check that out. I didn't realize I'd be plugging everything that I've made, but that kind of tells you just how involved Patrick has been in my creative endeavors. He's also done a bunch of stuff that I wasn't involved in. He's a great music video director. He's worked with a lot of big bands. Most notably, he's directed nearly every Black Veil Brides video, and I believe that collectively his music videos have been viewed over 1 billion times. He's just a really talented filmmaker and an even better person. We are talking about what could possibly be the worst boating trip other than the boat sinking and people dying. This could be the worst boating trip I've ever heard. I think it is the worst boating trip I've ever heard. When Pat was a teenager, his parents were separated. They eventually would get a divorce. But as a last-ditch Hail Mary to bring the family together again, his dad thought it would be a good idea for everyone to go fishing in Mexico on a fishing boat, and good times would happen. They did not happen. It was a nightmare from start to finish, and I don't know that I've laughed more during an episode. So I hope you enjoy my conversation with Pat. As always, you can check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com, where you can listen to past episodes, all 50-something past episodes. Check out the merch. Support me on Patreon. Feel free to email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com and let me know what you think of the show or any other insights you'd like to provide, show-related or not. That's enough yammering on from me. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Patrick Fogarty. So I had an interesting thing happen to my car, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
There is no rational explanation.
Well, you know, I'm a big car guy, Joe. So.
This, I think you'll have an opinion on.
Okay.
You know how almost all cars have the letters on the back that spell the word of the car?
A lot of them, yeah.
Most of them do. That's pretty common.
Like some people, when they customize their car, they take the name off the car, or they take the decals off, those metal.
Sure.
They unstick the things.
Yeah. So I had metal, quasi-metal, whatever it is, the metal letters that spelled out Civic. And somehow, like last week, Karina noticed that they were no longer there on my car.
Took them.
Not only did they take them off, they put them in the little thing in the car where there's like a little area next to the roll up and down the windows.
The little handle,
cubby
inside the car.
Yeah, they were all in.
They got inside your car.
Yes, in the back seat.
Your
driver's side. Yes.
So you went out to your car.
Yeah.
The decals are missing.
Yes.
Someone had gotten into your car and left them in the little cup.
Yes.
On the handle.
Yeah, in the back seat.
With the window smashed? Or
no.
How did they?
Nothing.
Was your car unlocked?
I mean,
Maybe?
that's what I've gathered is that, I mean, I don't think so. I always lock my car. It's possible I
Yeah.
just forgot. But yeah, she noticed that they were off, and then she had jumped in the back seat for some reason, and then just noticed them all there in the little cubby in the back,
Weird.
back door. So somebody ripped them off, got into my car, and then left them for me.
Didn't do anything else to the car? Like, did
No.
they take anything?
Nothing's missing. Which is why. So for all I know, it's been a month. I have no idea.
Weird.
So
All right,
I was
I'm
like,
going to think of an explanation. See if I can. All right. So if you had a gun to my head and you said, you have to explain this right now, I would say that something like, okay, when I was a teenager, all the bad kids in town would steal hood ornaments.
okay,
Remember they used to have hood ornaments on car? I think they still do, like Mercedes and whatever. Buicks used to have them, and kids would go up and grab them and like wrench them off the thing and snap the cord and rip the thing off, and they'd have like a shoebox full of hood ornaments in their bedroom.
just to show off, I guess.
Totally. So maybe some stupid kid was doing that to cars in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And their parent caught them with it. And they were like, you need to tell this person that
Yeah.
teach them a lesson or something, like go apologize.
Right.
And then maybe somehow they thought the only way to right the situation, because they couldn't find you or figure out who you were, is to just give them back to you safely. So like they're not just sitting on top of the car for anybody else to take.
Right. So they
weird.
broke into my car,
Yeah,
or maybe it was unlocked.
Or maybe it was just, if it was just unlocked. That's so weird.
It's the weirdest.
Because you have to try to get those off.
Yes, that's what. Because I was trying to think like, and again, none of it was rational. It was just like, was somebody parking, and then they just got too close, and then they tapped it, and they all fell off? That doesn't make any sense.
No. Like,
that's not possible.
If you wanted to get them off, it would take at least 10 minutes.
Yeah, and there's no marks on the car. Like you can't see the the outline of them
Maybe
remaining.
they fell off.
Yeah, they all fell off at the same time.
That's really weird.
It's fucking bizarre.
Did you put them back on?
No, I haven't yet. They're just in my back seat, and they're still there.
Okay.
Because I was like, I don't trust myself for it to be. They're all going to be crooked, and
I would love to see what it looks like when you spell it wrong on the back of your car, dude.
Sick Vic. Sick it.
Freaks.
I don't trust myself,
Yeah.
and I'll probably get the wrong glue, and it'll, it's just gonna be a mess.
And it'll bleed all over the paint, and it'll just look
Right,
like
it'll just be a
nightmare.
disaster. So
Yeah.
I'm debating. I know when I return the lease.
Oh,
I'll
that's
probably-
right. It's not even your
It's not
car.
even my car. So it's a lease. So I'm debating if
Yeah.
it's better to just try and figure it out, or just be like honest about it. They're not going to believe me. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened. They just
Well, I worked when I was in high school. I worked at one of my stupid summer jobs. I had like 50 jobs growing up, but the one summer I worked at a car dealership cleaning cars.
That's right.
And there's like a chemical that they use to take those things off, and but they'll replace. They're super cheap. They're not metal.
No.
And they come as a fully laid out thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to do them individually, and you peel the sticker off and you slap it on. So like, the leasing company might be like, well, that's really gonna cost you there, Joe.
Yep. I'm just waiting.
$350 at least. I mean,
Yeah. I
what
mean,
do we-
look at
our
it.
hands are tied.
Yeah,
We're
nothing
gonna
we
have
can
to charge it. And there's like a 10-cent sticker that they put on there to fix it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And I hate being fucked over, and I just
Yeah.
know that it's going to happen.
Yeah, you just walking there with a big target.
Yep. Yeah, I
Oh,
do.
man.
It doesn't say Civic anymore, so
Yeah, who knows what it is? Yeah, it could be anything now. Could be a Lamborghini, right?
it's a Honda Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That's bizarre. I mean, people have really creative ways of getting into other people's cars now.
Sure.
There's devices that people can sit in a parking garage or like the supermarket or whatever and scan somebody's clicker
Yeah.
when they click their car and then capture it and then reuse it.
Yeah. I just read a Stephen King book, Mr. Mercedes, and the killer did that.
It seems like a weird thing to follow it up with is to just take the decals off and leave them in the car that you didn't steal anything from.
Yeah.
And this was in your home parking area or
I park on the street every day, so it's like, and so I was trying to think. Like I've been to 2 valets in the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That seems like a weird move for them to do. That stick it to
Yeah.
the guy driving the Civic. Like,
Maybe you should put flyers up in your neighborhood and be like, did this crap happen to anybody else?
yeah. Is anybody?
Yeah.
else?
and form a group of people that are all like trying to figure this out. Because if somebody's able to do that, they probably think it's really funny, and they're probably doing it to everybody they can.
Yeah,
They
probably.
just march up and down the sidewalk doing that to people.
There's some hoodlums that live right below us. I think it could be them.
Oh, dude. I think there's mostly hoodlums living in your neighborhood. That's super bizarre.
Yeah, it is. You offered to talk about divorce?
Yeah, I was thinking of like, so there's a lot of family stuff going on right now this summer.
Oh, okay.
It's really hot, and the AC is like a problem in our place, and but we're hosting a bunch of people all summer. Like we had 6 people sleeping in our 1-bedroom apartment the other night, but it's all family people, so you have to like, you can't. You can't even suggest that somebody should do something other than stay at your place.
Right.
Because you're just going to make it work because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And you just have to be okay with it. So like I've been okay with it. It hasn't stressed me out, but I can see it kind of affecting other people. And it reminded me of like the most stressful situation I could have ever written for a group of people.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. So I was like, we were out having a few drinks with like my mom and my uncle and a few other people, and
this was like last week.
This was like a week ago.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that would be hilarious to talk to Joe about.
Yeah.
So it was like 1997, something like that. Okay. I think I was in 9th grade or 8th grade. I think I was in 8th grade, and my older brother's basketball team was doing a spring break trip to Mexico.
Okay.
And as a result of like all of the parents on the basketball team bringing all the kids on the team to go to Mexico, inevitably there's going to be like some other people getting roped into the trip, you know? It's like a family's not just going to take the one kid or send their one kid. They're going to go as a family.
They're going to use it as an excuse for everybody to go.
Like, they have, younger siblings, and then they don't want them to just be alone while they have to watch them. Like, they want to have fun too, so they'll bring a friend or whatever. So,
and I assume this was like a touristy part of Mexico. You weren't like in the middle of
I think it was Mazatlan.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Mazatlan.
Okay.
Wherever the Pacifico beer factory is.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's Mazatlan.
Okay.
And my parents had been separated for a little while leading up to that.
Okay.
And so when it came time to figure out like who's going to go where and how we staying and what's going to happen, we didn't think that my dad was going to go on the trip. And then like 2 days before, myself and my mom and my brother were going to go, like get on the plane.
Yeah.
We get a call from my dad, and he's like, "Hey, I'll meet you guys down there.
Oh God,
this is where I'm staying. Just let me know, if you guys want to stay with me." We're like, "It's so late to bring that up. It's just really weird." We're like, "Okay," but he was going down with my uncle and a couple of my cousins, so it was like, "Okay, fun." And
were you staying mainly with your mom at that point?
Well, I was staying with I was staying with my mom. My brother was staying with some of the kids from the basketball team. My mom was staying with like some of the other moms. And then I was staying with a couple of my friends.
Okay.
And we were happy to like separate ourselves from the basketball team and the parents and all that stuff. So me and my friends were kind of just trying to do all the adult stuff down there. And we were just like, we're 15.
Yeah.
Hanging out in Mexico, trying to go night clubbing and stuff. It was really, it was pretty nuts. So we ended up getting in everywhere we tried to go. They have no rules at all, especially back then. And so we're at like Rasta Cats or, whatever, Fat Tuesday and all these crazy like wet t-shirt contests at 3:00 in the morning and crazy stuff. And so, but the whole week we're there, it just kept recurring like, oh, hey, we all have to hang out. Like mom and dad and my brother and I all have to like hang out at some point. Like it's a weird scene to like talk about what's been going on and like figure out your family and stuff.
Right. To pretend you're like a happy family.
Yeah, and it was like I couldn't think of a worse way to confront the situation of like, hey, your parents haven't been talking for a while. Like, let's figure it out when we're all in Mexico, when we're not all supposed to be in Mexico. And so we all avoided it for a little bit, but ultimately we all kind of like are gonna bump into each other because there's only so many places to stay and the groups are kind of all mixed in. Like all the dads are golfing and doing stuff and whatever. And so It was like one of the last nights we were there, and I'm with my friend Ryan, and my dad. I'm talking to him. He found us somehow. He's like, hey, so tomorrow morning I rented a fishing boat, and I'm gonna pick you guys up at the hotel at 6 to get on a fishing boat.
6 a.m.
And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like
Yeah.
at that point I hadn't been talking to my parents as well. Like I was just like, okay, yeah, cool, fine,
Yeah, whatever.
do it. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll see you. You know, I was trying to be like a bad kid or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I go out with my friends, and we get like really drunk, and we're taking the bus all over town, and just like, yeah, right, there's no tomorrow, like all night long. And we rolled up to the hotel that we were staying at 5:45 in the morning, like blackout drunk.
Yeah.
Like 15-year-old.
Oh.
I had 22 drinks.
Oh my God.
It was like I was in no shape to do anything but like sleep for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And maybe go to the hospital or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And sitting on a golf cart in the rotunda of the hotel
Yeah.
is my dad with a driver, like on a little golf cart
Yeah.
to go fishing on a deep sea fishing boat.
God.
And he's
The waves and everything.
so he used to go to Mexico all the time when he was young.
Yeah.
And so he was trying to dig up like some of these old things they used to go, like he and his Navy buddies would go down there and like go like spear fishing and do like cool stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he was trying to like, you know, introduce some of that and like
Yeah.
be like a fun guy for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. And he's like, you have to do this. He's like, I already paid for it. We're picking up your mom and your brother in a half an hour, and you need to come. And my poor friend Ryan
Yeah.
had agreed to go the day before
Right.
and no longer wanted to go.
No. I'm
And
sure.
me not really knowing about like how much was spent or what's going on, like I
Right.
felt super guilty like for showing up at 5:45 drunk with my friend and not wanting to go anymore.
Right.
And also my friend who really shouldn't have to go.
No.
He doesn't need to be there.
He doesn't need to be in the
No,
middle
he
of your
needs to go to
forced
sleep.
family interactions.
And but he felt bad enough. He's like, all right, dude, look, I'll go. He's like, I don't want you to go by yourself. He's like, it's gonna suck. He's like, I'll go with you. You know, we'll ride it out. We'll see what happens. Like,
Did you get there at
it's fun.
5:45 just by chance? Were
That
you
was-
trying to get there
I
for 6
forgot
o'clock?
about it.
Yeah, I was going to say it
I
was probably
didn't-
just by chance.
I had no idea that, that it was actually going to happen. I thought it was like, oh yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Right. Yeah.
But he set it up and paid for it. And that's what, the afternoon that he told me, he spent that afternoon getting it all set up.
Yeah.
And I spent that afternoon trying to avoid everybody and go like
Getting
find
hammered.
drinks and find places with like $5 cover
Right.
for all you can drink as a.
And did
15
Ryan
year old.
have about as much as you had to drink?
Oh yeah, we were like
You were both. Yeah.
we
okay.
went out together.
Yeah.
that
Okay.
night.
Okay.
And so he's like go up to your room, do whatever you got to do, but be back down here in 20 minutes. We go upstairs, and there was like 3 other people staying in our room.
Yeah.
And they had been sleeping for like a
Sure.
couple hours or so. We get in there, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I gotta like, maybe I should take a shower. Like, I don't know how do I prepare for this trip? I don't know what kind of boat we're getting on. I don't know. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to bring a towel, I guess, or like my flip flops. I had nothing to
Did
like.
this sober you up somewhat, or were you just still like spinning and just
No,
like,
I was,
totally?
like-
You were just
I
totally.
was ready for bed. Like I
Yeah.
was like I could barely like find the room or
Right. Yeah.
somehow he and I end up climbing on that golf cart at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like the open back. There's no like doors. There's no
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Sitting on a golf cart, driving through traffic, like work traffic, not in the touristy area.
Right.
We're going 20 miles out of town on a golf cart,
Okay.
on an
On a
electric golf cart.
The what? Peaks at like 10 miles an hour or
Yeah.
something?
So we're getting like buses are blowing by, motorcycles are like pulling up next to us. Like, what the hell are you guys doing? The guy that was hired to drive us to the boat thought that showing up in an electric golf cart was going to be the thing to do. So we're hanging on for dear life on the back of a golf cart, and my dad's sitting shotgun, just like enjoying the scenery. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place to be.
Sure.
You know, young people on scooters, and like it's, you know, the sun's out again. It's back. And my friend Ryan and I are just trying not to die on the back of the
Or
cart.
vomit, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, we were like because that's the thing, you can't even like lay down and pass out because if you relax, you fall forward, which is backwards off the cart into traffic.
And then you die.
So we're sitting there clutching and like half passing out, but also hanging on for dear life for like 45 minutes to get out to where this boat is going to meet us.
Yeah.
And we're also starving, and we're starting to get like gut rot because we have nothing but alcohol in our stomachs, and we've been up for 2 days, and we're like, all right, at least maybe we can get like some toast or just something to soak it up. So we show up at the dock, and because we're so far out of town, there's no restaurants, there's no food trucks, there's like nothing. It's wild Mexico with a dock out in the ocean. And we pull down there, and there's people like cleaning fish, and whatever. Yeah. And there's no food, there's no water. There's a little boat that's like 14 feet long, maybe, waiting for us to get on.
Yeah.
And I was like, that can't be it. That can't be it. And I see my mom and my brother just standing there with their arms folded as we roll in, and they're just looking at us. So they're like, all right, we're here. We showed up.
Did they also show up in a golf cart?
I don't know how they got there. But they're just sitting there waiting for us, like not happy.
No.
And then my mom's like, if you got, she could obviously tell what myself and my friend were up to.
Sure.
And that we probably needed to eat something.
Yeah.
And she goes, if you need to eat something, there's a guy selling donuts right there. And I was like, oh yeah, donuts. Awesome.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So we go over, and it's not donuts, it's like wild donuts.
Okay.
You know, it's like gigantic, fluffy, deep fried dough, like massive globs, and they're like kind of wet inside, and they're just caked in like liquid sugar, not like frosting or whatever, just like dipped. So they're like soaking with sugar.
Yeah.
And I had like 2 bites of it, and I was like getting sick immediately because I was like, this is the most 3 weeks of sugar in a bite.
Yeah.
So we all climb on this boat.
So the food didn't work out.
The food didn't work out.
Okay.
No food. There's no shade on the boat. This is an open air boat. This isn't like, oh, just go down into the cabin and get some shade for a second. It's now 7:30 in the morning, and the bright, hot springtime Mexico sun is blaring down on us, and we don't have like an umbrella to hide under.
Nothing.
So we're just sitting there with towels over our head for the first like 45 minutes because I don't know if you've been deep sea fishing before.
You know, I haven't.
But the ocean doesn't get quite so deep until you're about an hour and a half out into the ocean.
Oh my God.
So we're in this little boat. Nobody's talking to each other.
It's just silence.
Nobody's talking to each other because my mom and my brother did not want to be there.
Yeah.
My dad's sitting there just like, hey, when's everybody going to start having a good time?
Is he just oblivious to all of it?
Well, no, he was just so determined that this is the
Okay.
thing to fix it all.
Okay.
That like, all right, well, I guess we'll show up.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Right.
When you can't like tell people that like you're not going to participate. You're just like, okay, well, you're determined to do it. The least and most we can do is arrive. And that's what we did.
Your dad sounds like Clark Griswold in this.
Yeah, he really thought that was like, we'll go deep sea fishing. We'll have like some crazy hero stories of like, oh, did you see that huge fish that we caught? And like, we'll take a cool picture and like big bonding moment for the family. So we're like an hour and a half of hitting 3.5 foot choppy waves in a 10 to 14 foot white open air, like it's like a dinghy that you take from the boat to the island. And so I thought maybe we're taking this out to the boat.
Right.
But we were in the boat.
That was the boat.
That was the boat. And I started questioning whether or not my dad arranged this with the right people.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was like, there's no way you knew this was going to be the boat.
Yeah.
Because this is misery. This is like even if I wasn't still up from the night before.
Right.
This would have been torture.
Yeah.
So anyway, my friend and I have towels over our head, and we're sitting there like in our little cocoons, sitting on a little bench on the side of the boat, just like whammo, 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 ocean spray, sun beating down on you. Can't keep suntan block on or whatever, and then eventually the guy just stops the boat.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I guess we're here. And my friend and I, we pull the towels off our face, like we were trying to sleep, but you can't sleep doing that.
No.
And we thought, like, we had like permission from my parents. Were like, yeah, why don't you guys try to get a little nap so you're a little more with it.
Yeah.
When we get there, it'll be about an hour and a half, and then you guys can wake up or whatever. So we didn't get any sleep the ride out there. Obviously, we stop and we take the towels off, not because we're ready to like start bonding with the family, because we want to know where the hell are we.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing. You can't see the land. There's no other boats. There's no nothing. We are in the middle of the ocean with the sun out and not a cloud in the sky. And the choppy waves are now 6.5 feet swells. And we are just rocking.
Have you vomited yet?
Well, we're getting there.
All right.
So
okay. I'm amazed you made it this long.
it's because we're kind of moving, so you can, you're like,
you're
you're
going
moving
through.
forward.
Yeah.
But as soon as you stop and you turn into a bobber,
that's when it gets. Yeah.
that's when it really settles in that, like, okay, what time are we going back? That was the first question. It wasn't like, what does my fishing rod look like? Or
Right.
what kind of fish do you get out here? Or whatever. It was like, what time are we supposed to go back?
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's like, well, I think the sun goes down around 4:30. And I was like, what are you talking? No, the sun goes down at like 9 o'clock at night. Are we here till sundown? And he goes, well, look, I booked it for the whole day until we'll get in before sundown. But look, let's just give it a chance. And I was like, oh my God, you brought us out here for like a 12-hour sit on a boat.
With no food or water?
You're like a crazy person. What is this? Well, they had a cooler.
Okay.
With like some, in the boat, there was a cooler with some beer and some water.
Okay.
And more of those goddamn donuts. in the thing. There was no lunch. I was like, well, what are we supposed to eat for lunch? And he's like, we're going to catch our lunch. And I was like, oh my God. All right, well, let's get fishing then, because I can't eat another one of those donuts. And I don't think it's right for me to just start drinking beer right now, because this is like we're in on a skillet with the family here. I don't think we should be getting drunk. And then my mom started. She's like, okay, I think I need to puke. Very, very just calmly was like, you know what? I think I need to get sick. She leans over the side of the boat. She starts puking. I see that. I start puking.
Yeah.
My friend is also puking, and my brother's just sitting there staring at my dad. Just looking at him like, go on, just say something, do it. Let's have fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's fish.
You can all bond over vomiting.
Yeah. So my dad's like, all right, I'm gonna get a pole, and he grabs a pole, starts baiting it, whatever, fishing off the side of the thing, and we sat out there for like 2 more hours with everybody holding a pole. Nobody said shit, and then eventually. I think it was my mom that was the one to say it. She's like, if we don't go back right now, I'm going to kill you. and the driver of the boat, this poor guy that I think he was the same guy that was that drove us in the golf cart out there too. He like totally agreed that, yeah, we're not going to catch anything because we're using poles that you use off the dock. We have like a 9-foot, maybe 80-pound fishing line or whatever out in the deep sea, floating around.
Where did your dad find this guy? That's what's fascinating.
He was probably just like at the golf course and was talking about fishing with some of the dads, and then was like, oh, one of the guys here says he knows a guy with a boat. Let's hook it up.
Yeah, I'm sure that was because there has to be commercial things that do that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, my dad's done some pretty amazing, insane things in his life. Big coordinated events and like huge, like he's pulled off miracles in his life with like planning things.
Yeah.
So to him, it's like, oh yeah, you find a guy, you book a boat, whatever. It's going to be awesome. Everything's cool. And this was just like so bush league. It was terrible. And it's not like he had options and like took a deal. This is like the only guy he was talking to.
Yeah.
And
No,
he just believed him.
Right. Okay, sorry. So your mom
his life. So then we drive all the way back, and then my mom and my brother took me and my friend back to the hotel, and then I think I didn't see my dad for like 3 months after that. And then my parents got divorced after that. That's when they finalized their divorce, like after that. Yeah, I think that was it.
Wow.
And I felt so bad for my dad because it was like his last attempt to like bring it all back together, but it just did not work out. There's so many things working against him. It was just like a nightmare.
What did he? I mean, I obviously you went back, but do you remember what he said when your mom said that? Like, I'm gonna kill you if we don't go back.
Oh, I think he just motioned to the guy, like, "All right, yeah, I think we're done."
Wave the flag.
Yeah,
all right.
I think he just pulled in his fishing rod and like set it on the ground. Was like, circle the wagons. We're heading out.
God, yeah, that must, because he must have known, like in his head, he must have just needed a Hail Mary. It was like, let's just do it.
Fishing trip.
Yeah, it's a thing. It'll bring us together.
Yeah, we'll be out there. He in his mind was probably like, we're gonna get out there. We're gonna catch some fish.
Yeah,
we'll be grilling fish, eating fish sandwiches, grilling, talking about stuff, having a beer, hanging out, getting some sun, relaxing. And it was like we were in a bathtub in the middle of the ocean with like a Kmart fishing rod and a box of donuts.
Because when you pitch it like how you just did, it's like, oh, I can see why he did that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that version of it sounds pretty good.
And he was just trying to keep his confidence the whole time. Right. Like, oh, yeah, the driver will pick us up in the morning. And it was like this weird golf cart situation. I was like, oh, my God, where's this headed? You know, and then it's like, okay, well, the golf carts take people from the bars to the hotel in town and stuff, and that's a thing.
Right.
But when we started getting like out into the countryside, I was like, okay, this is weird. We're only seeing like vans and like bread trucks and stuff driving around. And then the boat was just, I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
So, and it was also, on top of that, it was probably extremely dangerous. We all could have just died.
Yeah.
If the thing tipped over.
Right.
No cell phones, no satellite. I don't know if we told anybody we were going out there. Because I totally forgot.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure my mom and my brother would have let some people know at least where we were catching a boat. Yeah. But I left no trace behind. I just disappeared in the morning. People probably woke up in the mid-afternoon like, where'd Pat and Ryan go? Where do you think they are? And then we got back and like, that was, I had to apologize to my friend for like at least a couple of years after. He's still a buddy of mine. But yeah, it was years of apologies on that one.
So all the drinking and stuff you did the night before is my segue into, it seems as though you lived a very crazy adolescence.
Yeah, I was not, up until I was about 19 or 20.
Yeah.
I was the most irresponsible person ever.
And that's why it's fascinating, because you would probably have the best work ethic of anyone I know. You work really hard. You're very responsible.
And I started to feel extremely guilty about disappointing people.
Yeah.
And the way I would feel when I knew I had disappointed somebody was overwhelming to the point of like, it would just force me to follow through on things, whether or not I wanted to actually complete it or whatever. But like if I told somebody that I'd be somewhere, or I told somebody that something would happen or whatever, I would do everything that I could to make it work. Because I think I just started feeling really guilty about like who I was when I grew up. Because I was just like, I mean, I had no filter on like what's a good decision when I was growing up. I was doing the worst kind of stuff, like just like being 13 years old and stealing your parents' car to drive 80 miles away.
Sure.
In the middle of the night for like no reason. Just, I had cousins that lived like on the other side of the state.
Uh-huh.
And they were my age, a little bit older.
Yeah.
And they would call me, like, be like, oh, hey, it's so-and-so, you met them last summer. It's their birthday. We're all having a thing. You should ask your mom to bring you guys out here for the weekend.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, I can't do that. We got to go to work.
Yeah.
We have a life.
Yeah.
We can't drop what we're doing so you can go to some birthday party everywhere.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I kind of want to go. So I just waited until everybody went to sleep, and I would just take the car and drive my little 13-year-old ass like 85 miles away.
Holy shit.
And I would show up in the middle of the night and like, the party's not happening anymore.
No.
But I would show up and be like, hey, what's up, guys? And they're all like sleeping in the living room. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like, party. What are you guys sleeping for?
I thought you said there was a party going on.
Yeah, totally. Like just shit like that, dude. I just had I would not accept somebody telling me what I could not do. Mm-hmm. And I had no way of evaluating whether or not I needed to do that. It was just like, it was a long series of that kind of stuff. Okay, so like around the same time as this Mexico story, my brother and I had this party, and we lived in this little house that was next to a pond.
Okay.
In Minnesota. And so we had our backyard went up to a pond, but you could hear everything in the neighborhood around this pond. At the time, I had like a couple of friends that like were in bands and would play music and stuff. And my brother and I were going to be alone at the house for a week and a half.
Wow. Okay.
And I can't remember exactly why. This was my parents were split up, and then I think my mom was going to where she grew up to like visit her family and stuff. But somehow my brother convinced her that like everything's fine, like we're cool, we can hang out here for a week, like it's just a week. Like,
yeah.
What,
And he's what, 17 and you're 15 or something like that?
16. I was
16, 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm still on a bicycle to get to spread the word
right.
that we're having a party. So
no group text.
Yeah, totally. So it just kind of like and this was in the summer, and so this is before pagers. Well, I guess the pagers existed, but nobody has a cell phone, and you're not going to call somebody's house one at a time,
right?
And talk to everybody's parents to
right.
get them on the phone, so that everybody in the neighborhood knows that you've been calling because everybody, parents are all talking and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we would a couple of my friends and I, we just biked to all the little hot spots where you go to bump into people.
Sure.
I really missed that time.
Yes.
Where nobody knows where you are all the time.
Nope.
You can't find people all the time, and you just casually visit certain areas because that's where you kind of bump into people.
Yeah, exactly. What were the places
so
for you?
cool.
Like the hangout or the
there was a church parking lot that everybody would go to.
Always a parking lot.
There was a lot of parks
that
we would go to. There's a spot that was like a water, the Department of Water facility had like a little brick house down this little ledge.
Yeah.
We called it the Crev. The crevice.
The crevice.
So you just swing over there to the Crevy and see what's going down. So yeah, anyway, it was all bike traffic. So you'd just be biking around. You see somebody like blow past somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
In these little suburban wooded neighborhoods and stuff. And you go track them down and chase them on a trail. And then you catch up with them and be like, oh, I'm heading over to wherever so-and-so's parents are gone. So we're all hanging out there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, for like a week, we just told everybody that we'd bump into, like, come over on whatever day because we're having a party. And they would go and do the same thing.
Right.
And so from my point of view and from my brother's point of view, and he had a car at the time, so he was getting around to everywhere.
Right.
And I had maybe told like 18 people, and he probably told like double that. And we thought maybe half of everybody would show up to hang out. And at like 2:00 in the afternoon, we start like setting some stuff up. My friend who had a band wanted to like, yeah, we want to play your party.
Nice.
I was like, all right, cool. Nice. Like, bring your shit. So we set them up on the little patio off our basement door. And at like 2:00, and we started grilling food. And like people showed up putting blankets out in the yard and stuff. And we're like by the pond and our little house and a band playing. It was actually like a really awesome setup for a party.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
And people started showing up around like 2:00 in the afternoon and calling everybody that they knew to say like, hey, they're having like a cool thing. You should come on over.
Yeah.
And by 8:00 at night, There were 300 cars parked around the pond, the neighborhood that goes around the pond, all the way around.
Holy shit.
Cars parking up the hill, all the way up to the highway.
Yeah.
And people were just flooding in. And then all the people who graduated the year before, like I'm going into 9th grade at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And people who graduated from high school the year before are bringing people from the University of Minnesota with kegs to our house.
Oh, boy.
Because their little brother or their little sister is in 10th grade and
Right.
they're telling them about a cool party and they're at summer break, so they're still in the neighborhood. And so, like, it got way out of
300
control.
people. Wow.
Way out of control.
Okay.
And so eventually we didn't like panic because, like, we didn't really wrap our head around, like, how dangerous this situation is. Like, anybody could have fell in the pond or
Right.
walked out, got hit by a car, whatever. Like, that just doesn't add up in your head. Like, well, that's not my problem.
Right. Exactly.
Don't go in the street or, you know.
Yeah, don't be a moron.
So there's like street ball going. We had like a bumpy little paved driveway and a hoop.
Yeah.
And people are gambling on street hoops. My cousin.
What are they doing? Playing craps?
My cousins that I would drive out to go see in the middle of the night, they showed up and they loved like competition and gambling. Everybody thought they were gangsters. This was like when gangster rap was going on.
Okay.
So
All right.
all these morons that think they're tough and like they want to do like gambling and shit. So people are like playing horse for money in the driveway and fighting. People are parking on the lawn, on the neighbor's lawn.
Oh, Jesus.
All the people that are sitting out in the backyard with these blankets are like hooking up on the blankets in the backyard.
Oh, my God.
The inside, we had a ping pong table in our basement, and people are gambling on ping pong.
That's what
wasted, drunk. Like all these kids, people are showing up. Like kids that got kicked out of school and sent to like reform school were showing up
because they're home for this. So yeah, you're getting everybody.
Yeah,
the idea of competitive horse is really funny.
Everybody's doing the worst thing you could do at the party. Like nobody had access to drugs, so like maybe there was pot there.
Yeah.
But like if these kids had access to hard drugs, it would have just been like,
oh,
it would have. Everybody's going to prison, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was like a fucking free for all with over 300 kids from like, and then younger kids were showing up too. Like 7th graders were showing up because some of the people that I was friends with had younger siblings with bikes that are like blocks away, and everybody's hearing about what's happening at this thing that's like, and we're right off a busy road. Like the pond neighborhood was a horseshoe that went off of a main road that came off the highway and down a little hill.
Yeah.
And through the woods.
Yeah.
And there's an entrance on one end of the pond and then it goes around and then there's another entrance. So the whole neighborhood's a horseshoe. And so cars are just driving by as normal. Get like 300 cars a day going by the house.
Sure. Okay. I was going to ask. That makes sense.
And they see that there's 85 cars between one end of the horseshoe and the other on the main road, and then they'll drive around to see what's going on, and they'll see cars parked all the way around the horseshoe. And ultimately, the cops came and broke it up because fireworks showed up, all this stuff. So we were freaking out, and the cops were like, "Look, you guys have 2 hours." Like they were very nice.
Wow. Okay.
They go, "You have 2 hours to get everybody out of here."
Yeah.
If there's a single car parked in this neighborhood that doesn't belong in 2 hours, we're going to arrest you guys. But if you can, because they knew that like if they started arresting people, it would have been like, they would have been doing paperwork or whatever for months.
Yeah.
Trying to process 85 minors at a party.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to do that.
No.
They're like, get everybody out of here.
And it would have turned into complete chaos.
So they just stood at the end of our driveway. Yeah. And we took one of the cops in and walked him around. We're like, in like little groups at a time, like grabbing like 5 people and be like, all right, guys, so this is Officer whatever he calls himself, and he would like you to leave right now.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. So he helped us go around and kick everybody out. And
how drunk were you?
Oh, I was wasted.
Okay.
Yeah, I was totally.
Oh, officer.
Yeah, totally. And so we get most everybody out, and like a couple of our friends were sticking around to like help us clean up and stuff.
Yeah.
We spent like 2 days picking up, cleaning up everything. Like there's a little stuff going on in the lawn or whatever, but you could say like, oh, some car, I don't know, somebody pulled in and backed out. I don't know what happened. Right. And got the whole place spotless, back to normal. Everything's good to go. And then my mom shows up And she's like, it kind of smells like beer in here. We're like, oh, really? I don't know why that was. And for some reason, like mom noses are 1,000 times stronger than anybody else's nose.
Oh, definitely.
And she walked right over to the bookshelf where we kept all the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And noticed that one of the VHS tapes was sideways.
Uh-huh.
Instead of in there like a book, it was faced out like a Blockbuster.
Sure.
And she pulled it open, and there was a half-drunk can of beer hiding behind like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective or something like that. And she goes, "Did you guys have people over while I was gone?" And we're like, "Yeah, we had a few people over."
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That was like a beer.
Yeah.
So we're sorry.
Yeah.
She had no idea there was like 400 people in the backyard.
I'm amazed like nobody from the neighborhood told her.
Somebody might have mentioned it, but
Yeah.
like I think you don't want to believe that your kids are that messed up.
Right.
So when the neighbor's like, there were a lot of people at your house, you're like, oh, I bet there was 15 people at our house,
Right.
whatever.
Just to
to
it's
get
easier
over
to
it.
tell yourself that
Yeah.
and not even think about the larger
Totally.
scale. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one party, but it was when I was in college. I had the house to myself, and it was probably only like 25 people. But the next morning, anytime you have a party, it's going to smell of booze and cigarettes. Even if no one was
Yeah.
smoking, somehow it smells like.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
And
somebody
there's
was.
just some people that come around when you're that age where
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going to get in trouble because you're here. Like,
Yeah. There was definitely like that guy.
Yeah.
Who had gotten kicked out of school. And was
Yeah.
the rebel.
Yeah.
And,
They had a thing at our school. They had a thing called mini school.
Okay.
So the kids who did not get along with regular school would go to mini school. And so they do like vocational training, like they do like shop class and cooking and whatever. They
Okay,
do like
practical.
basic English math stuff, and then they just get them the hell out of school. So
Yeah.
they'd show up for like 2 hours a day in the morning, and then they'd go to work.
Yeah.
They would like go work at Jiffy Lube or the grocery store or
Wherever.
they could get a job.
Yeah.
And they all like, they were like a family because there was like the 25 bad kids
Right.
that all have accepted that like, all right, these are my peers. There's no point in trying to pretend like I want to go to school because I don't. And
Right.
if they're going to arrest me for not going to school, I guess I'll go for an hour a day or whatever.
Right.
And if any one of those people finds something going on, everybody's showing up
Right.
because they all talk to each other.
Right.
Because they're all in this little family together.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were really nice. I was actually friends with like maybe 4 or 5
Sure.
of like the skater dudes that
Yeah.
that I knew from middle school.
Right.
That ended up kind of like saying screw you to high school.
Right.
But so that party was like, that was one of the peaks. And then there was a campground where you can rent a horse and ride it around and like do a little river crossing and go up a trail
Sure.
and come back down. It was like nice and peaceful. My dad grew up on a farm, so he like wanted us to learn about horses and stuff.
Yeah.
So he took us out there, and my friends and I realized he took me and my brother and one of our friends each to go camping for a night and then ride horses and then go home. And we realized when we were there that this location is 40 miles away from town.
Okay.
You have to go down a river bluff for about 2 miles, and then you go out to this clearing, which is like 7 football fields of a clearing
Okay.
with a ring of trees around it, and then trails that go off, and there's a river, and nobody's there.
Okay.
It's
Just
like the
empty.
Superdome for a keg party.
Yeah, that would be.
It would be like having access to your high school football stadium to
Right.
throw a keg party
Right.
where nobody can hear you.
Dazed and Confused Water Tower Party.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the following weekend, we bring like 4 or 5 of our other friends out there without
Yeah.
my dad.
Okay.
And this is while school's going on.
Okay.
So this is not summertime.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that following Monday, 300 people knew about that place because our 8 friends just went around like, holy shit, you got to go out there, you got to whatever. Started drawing maps on paper because before
Yeah.
the internet,
Right.
before MapQuest,
Yeah.
drawing map, like you take this highway to here, you get off here, and then there's a trail, and you drive down this little dirt road, and
Right.
you go whatever.
It's like a treasure map.
Treasure map. Exactly. Oh my god. So obviously we're gonna do it the next weekend.
Of course.
And we're like, yeah, maybe like 30, 40 people show up.
Yeah.
Same thing, like 500 people show up, and there's this one dude trucks were a huge deal. People go mudding.
Oh yeah.
They get big old tires on there. They turn an Explorer into like a 9-foot tall monster with, big, huge tires, and they go mudding around and stuff.
Same in Ohio.
So a bunch of those like big old redneck trucks show up, and like everybody's going woo, and like strangers are showing up now. Like older strangers from town on the way, because they were telling people at the gas stations on the way, like crazy high school party in the woods, and like all the townies, scary people started showing up.
Yeah.
And this one dude from our school, he had literally a monster truck.
Okay. Okay.
Like Bigfoot.
Literally. Yeah.
Like 11-foot tires.
Wow.
It gets like 2 miles to the gallon.
Sure.
He sees he goes there and he sees what's going on. And he goes, there's at least 2 football fields here for me to put on a display of my monster truck and easily impress 300 girls.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do it. He gets somebody to drive him back to his house.
40 miles away.
He fills up his tank 7 times on the way out there. And without warning, gigantic lights show up at the top of the hill, and a fucking monster truck comes flying down the hill. Just whoever's in the way better fucking run.
Yeah.
And he just starts doing donuts and whipping around and kicking mud all over everybody's campsites. And it's like, it was like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So then a bunch of tough guys with their trucks cornered him, like got in their trucks and like wedged him in a corner, and they're all like, staring each other down.
Oh.
And then the cops rolled in shortly after. They're like, we saw a monster truck roll through town at night. Who's drinking?
Everyone raised their hands.
And then that time they actually went through and like processed people. I didn't get a ticket. None of my friends got a ticket, but all the dudes in the big truck standoff, they all got arrested.
Well, of course. Yeah. That sounds like the dumbest testosterone standoff ever. Just a bunch of dudes revving their fucking monster trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. But that, like, there's probably 1,000 of those that I forget that I would be reminded of.
So you were the ringleader of that party, though?
Well, that was kind of behind it wasn't like the...
I mean, I know
it wasn't
you weren't
really like the
expecting
ringleader, because that was never the goal. I, for some reason, would get early access to places that were perfect to ruin for everybody else. And I get there and I get to enjoy it while it's quiet.
Yeah.
And then I would make the mistake of telling 8 people who don't have like a family connection to that place. Because like this place that we took people, that was in the town where my dad grew up, that was like 40 miles away from our town.
Yeah.
And, his cousin lived 3 miles down the road, or what, it's where he's from. And I, of course, just went and shat all over and invited the whole,
Oh, yeah,
but
tore up
I
all the
didn't really
grass.
invite all the people there.
You did,
I invited like, 10 people, and then it just went caught on like fire.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, no parents, huge piece of land. Nobody knows we're there. You can do, it's like.
You just saw the potential.
Yeah, for some reason.
And then it spread.
I don't know if this was going on at all the other schools. Well, we were friends with some people at different schools.
Yeah.
But like, I could maybe name 20 people that didn't rage in high school where I grew up.
Yeah.
It was like a thing. It's probably a Minnesota thing where everybody's like, it's just assumed that you go out and get completely wasted on the weekends.
It's just accepted.
Yeah. It was really weird.
And are parents cool with it to a degree, or?
But yeah, that's the thing. Some of them are.
Yeah.
Right. Some of them don't think there's a problem with it.
Right.
And those end up being like the hubs for all the troublemakers. And like, my parents were split up. I wasn't really that supervised.
Right.
I was free to make all the mistakes I wanted to.
Yeah.
And, but I'm not saying like the town was full of just that.
No, yeah.
I just didn't know those people.
Sure.
Yeah. I didn't have access to the people that were actually making good decisions with their life.
Right.
Which is probably my fault when I think about it.
But I mean, and kind of like what you're saying, how you miss like the days where you could just, because I was the same way. I would get on my bike when I finally learned when I was 12. It took me a while to get off the training wheels.
Yeah.
I think I shared this last week, but my dad always tried when I was growing up. And then I would fall the first time and then be like, I'm done. And then, we'd get into a huge fight about it and go, forget it. And he never went on business trips because he worked at the state house in Columbus. The one business trip he ever went on, that was when I was determined to learn how to ride it. And my asshole neighbor taught me how to do it.
Oh, my God.
And I feel so bad because I'm sure, I'm sure
you wanted to be there.
But like that's a moment.
Yeah.
Teach your son how to ride a bike.
As soon as you figured out how to ride the bike, you turn around and go, "You're not my real dad." You flipped off your neighbor.
You. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really nice to be able to just like, I would have a quarter in my pocket and I would leave at 10 in the morning, maybe I would have to check in on a payphone at like 3.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and
you have
then be
enough
home by
money
dinner.
in your pocket to do a thing while you're out. Like,
exactly.
I'm going to get a soda.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I'm going to,
Yeah, we would just stand
I'm going to go rent
a
a movie with $2.
Yep.
And that's my mission, and I'll be out for 4 hours to go rent a movie or whatever.
Yep, I would ride my bike like a mile and a half to Blockbuster and rent Spaceballs like every weekend.
I mean, it's really nice to have immediate access to everything all the time. It really makes people negative and impatient and thoughtless and inconsiderate, and it's really a bad way to live.
Yeah.
It's helpful in emergency situations,
of
like
course.
if there's a health scare and you need to know if someone's allergic to something, what to do about it, or, or to find ways to fix things. And, all that's great to have immediate access to. But when you have immediate access to entertainment and everything else that you want, you get so desensitized to enjoyment itself that you don't really enjoy anything. And you never have to work for anything, so you don't appreciate it when something cool does happen.
Yeah.
But back in the day, just bumping into two people that when you're out just running around, like we would play night games. That was their thing when we were kids. Everybody would, before the weekend, be like, all right, Saturday at 8 o'clock, we're all meeting at whatever park, and we're going to play night games. And you do, capture the flag, or whatever, Ghost in the Graveyard, all those games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you just fuck around at a park at night.
It was great.
Wearing hoodies.
Yep.
Running around, beating each other up.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool to watch a movie, but, that's what you do at the end of the night.
Right.
You just sit there and stare at the shit all day.
And you'd ridden your bike to go get the movie, so you appreciated it more.
Yeah.
The dumbest thing, I mean, it wasn't that dumb. Well, I don't know. Because, I would just get on my bike and just wander around. And I remember when McDonald's was doing the Monopoly game.
Yeah.
I know they still do, but it was during the time where they did that. And for 1 year, they had ads in magazines that had 2 pieces in it. So I rode my bike to every grocery store or CVS.
Yeah.
It just was going through the magazines.
Game in the system.
Just taking all the pieces out.
Thieving.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, too. You start hearing about these little scams that you can get away with when you're 12.
Did I ever tell you, speaking of scams, I had a friend who blew my mind. Like, it was when we were 16 and we had all just gotten our license. That was a golden era for any kid, because then you just have freedom, you know?
And you don't acknowledge the new responsibility.
Oh, no.
I could kill somebody
when
I'm driving
There was
around.
one night he needed a new windshield wiper, and it was pouring down rain. And we both we were driving down the highway in his ghetto truck, as he called it. And we both just used our arms as window wipers, driving down the highway. We were both sticking out of the car.
Well, that's the solution, right?
Yeah. We have to go to this thing.
What, are we going to not go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta go.
But this is the same friend who blew my mind, where he did it casually. We went through like a McDonald's drive-through, and he's like, "Okay, open the glove box, grab a McDonald's bag out." I was like, "Why do you have fast food bags?" You'll see. So I pulled a McDonald's bag out of the glove box. He's like, "Yeah, just hold it." And then we pull up to the drive-through, and he tells the minimum wage worker, "Hey, I came through an hour ago and got 3 burgers and 2 fries, but I only got 2 burgers and 1 fry." And they were like, "Okay," and then they just give him free food.
They don't care enough.
No, they don't give a shit. And it blew my mind. He's like, "Yeah, I haven't paid for fast food in like 2 years."
We had a friend that was he was dealing pot from a McDonald's.
Word.
He was the manager. He was a high school age manager of a McDonald's, and he was selling weed out of the drive-thru.
Nice.
Yeah.
But as far as driving goes, when you shouldn't be, when I was 16, my mom was in Cleveland having her stomach removed at the Cleveland Clinic.
Okay.
It's a genetic thing. The same reason that I got
you have to go do your checkup.
So she had to have her stomach removed for polyps that were lining it and that would cause cancer and everything else. So my lenient grandparents were staying with me, and they're the ones who live in North Carolina. So they, they were like just happy to be seeing us for like a long period of time. So they're just like, "Do whatever you want, have fun," And so there was a night where it was a really bad like snow and ice storm. Yeah. And somebody had planned to have a party, and the party was still happening, but a lot of people, like their parents weren't letting them drive.
Yeah.
Nothing for me. I was like, cool, I'll pick everybody up. So I had 8 people in my car.
Fun.
We picked up beer from somebody's brother or something, it is.
Yeah.
And those moments are always funny because in your head, everyone's staring at you. And it's like, okay, we got to play it cool. And then you don't play it cool because you're just panicking and looking around and just like.
Dude, I had a hockey bag full of random ass stolen beers in my trunk.
Just ready.
No, we were on our way to a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And like, we knew that we were all going to go to this thing on this day.
Right.
So we were getting ready for it.
Yeah.
So you snag a beer here and there. Anytime you see some lying around, you throw 1 or 2 in your pocket.
Yeah.
And you collect them so that when you go to the thing, you bring a bunch of beer with you.
Yeah, I got a smorgasbord.
And so 4 of my friends and I had been doing that for like a month.
Yeah.
And we've been chucking them in this hockey bag in my friend's room. So we throw this thing, it weighs like 300 pounds, and we drag it out to the car and we stick it in the trunk and slam the trunk shut. And it's dead of winter.
Yeah.
Like there is ice everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we're going to drive downtown to the rich kid party.
Yeah.
And we're on our way downtown and it's snowing. There's ice everywhere. There's no cars on the road because you should not be driving right now.
No.
And it's like 11 o'clock at night and we're going to a place we've never been before.
Right.
To like a wealthy part of Minneapolis. And the luckiest driving thing that's ever happened to me, we pull onto an on-ramp from one highway to the next, and the car skids out, and I do a full 360 in the car, and then it just kind of rights itself in the lane, and then we keep driving.
Wow.
And we all looked at each other, and we're like, we were going to die.
Yeah.
Because I was going like 45 miles an hour, and
Yeah.
it just did a full 360, and then when it hit the rut in the lane, it just like snapped into place. And we kept going, and we were all like dead silent for like 20 seconds. And we're like, holy shit.
So when I was driving everybody to the party with a bunch of beer in the trunk, I also hit black ice.
Yeah.
And did a 360 into a street sign.
Oh my God. You hit the sign with all those people in the car?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I had like 8 people in a Civic.
Yeah.
And it's still, when I think about it, it's slow motion, all of it. And I just remember a friend in the back seat going, and we're dead.
Oh my God.
And then we rammed in, and this was on a country road. And so like after a beat, my brain just went into like, we got to get the beer out of the trunk. I don't know why. I went to that. Yeah, they're going to catch us with beer. Because like I rode up on the sign.
Yeah.
Like I was up on it.
Yeah.
And so I like jumped out of the car and opened the trunk and started throwing beer into this field.
Oh my God.
And then a car slows down, and it's just like, "You boys okay?" And I just am like holding a thing of beer,
like you're disposing a body. Or
yeah,
something.
It looks like I look super sketchy
with the red taillights coming at you.
yeah,
steam coming out of your face.
And
what are you looking at?
And I was just like, yeah, all good. And thankfully, they didn't. I think they just said it for their own conscience because clearly we were not.
You're in trouble.
And then I called the party, the person hosting the party, and we were close enough to him that he drove out, recovered all the beer, and then went back to the party.
Wow, what a trooper.
Yeah, real nice guy.
Oh my God.
And so we had to get my car off of the sign, and then I drove everybody to the party, and then I was like, all right, how can, 'cause, I mean, like the bumper was totally dented in, and so it was hitting the tire every time I was driving, so it was just
grinding and like snarling at you.
Yeah, so I was like, how do I hide this one from Grandma? And I think I did. I can't remember. Oh, and then I created. So everybody kind of heard about it because, of course, I was going to talk about it.
Yeah.
I got the beer, but
yeah,
boy, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you impressed by that story? Want to go make out? No. All right. I'll just go listen to Death Cab in the car.
Oh God, the smashed up car.
And then at school that next week, I created the Flanders Fund, where I cook an empty coffee bin. And just I skipped out of whatever class I was in during the other lunch periods and
with
just walked around.
4, and then Joe and a frowny face and
like
a hole in the top to put your money in.
Yeah, I took a picture of the car and printed that out. And I actually made like $250 towards
awesome.
my car. Yeah. So people were appreciative of the beer, I guess.
Yeah, camaraderie there.
Yeah, but anyway, to sort of wrap up, I'm curious. You mentioned how you just got to a point when you were 19 or 20 that you just didn't want to disappoint people. Was there a moment where that clicked in? Did you disappoint somebody and then you're like, oh, I don't want to do this again?
No. I think it because until that time,
Yeah.
I could barely imagine what life would be like after I am that age. There was no concept of like, and then you'll be an adult,
Right.
and then you'll start doing this and then your life will continue.
You were just truly living like day to day.
I was just like totally blind to the idea of like, you're going to grow up and things, you're going to have actual responsibility.
Right.
And I just completely ignored that and missed out on so many like good lessons that I could have learned along the way. And it all just kind of hit me one day and I was just like, oh my God, dude, like I have to now work like 3 times harder than I would have had I done everything the right way.
Yeah.
So I better start doing that now.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of become a habit where like I can't stop until something is like, complete or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I get a lot of anxiety about like not being there for somebody or whatever, that kind of stuff. I was just really selfish growing up.
Yeah.
And I started feeling really shitty about that.
Yeah.
And then just like
Time to get it together.
Yeah. Reality kind of hit me and I was like, I don't want to be a selfish person. I don't want to have people think that I am not considerate of the fact that we're all moving through life together and we got to help each other.
Yeah.
And you're going to need help and you're going to have to give help and you might as well just enjoy everything and try not to stress out about it.
Right.
But definitely don't flake off and forget people and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Is that when did you know you wanted to do film stuff? Was that around that time?
Actually, it's interesting because when I was 14, I got a job at the public access station.
Oh, okay.
And they taught me how to do VHS. So I was actually very interested in film as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Despite all this wacky attitude and behavior and things like that, I was always drawn to like, I was a huge Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like all that stuff. Like I would watch that stuff on repeat as a kid.
Those 80s blockbusters.
Just all like Beetlejuice, like anything I get my hands on that was good at all, I would just watch it. And like the Ninja Turtles movie, the first one.
Oh yeah.
Dumb and Dumber, like all that. Movies was my escape.
Right.
My personal escape.
Right.
When I was socially, it was like trying to find things to drink.
Right. Yeah.
And when I was by myself and I didn't have that stuff, I would just dive into movies.
Yeah.
And I could watch the same movie 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
And so I was just obsessed with it. So I was like, okay, well, if at some point I'm going to have to do something with my life, at least I know that I can enjoy the topic of this.
Yeah.
And so, and my mom cares about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I'm fortunate. Some people don't have that.
Definitely.
And she noticed that's what was going on. She's like, all right, if you're going to do whatever you want to do all the time and you're not going to listen to me and you're going to be a bad kid, you need to at least pick something that is constructive and I'll help you find it.
Yeah.
And so she would drive, and I was like, all right, well, I really like watching movies because I don't have to talk to anybody and I can just watch movies.
Yeah.
And my mom is like a crazy optimist about everything. And she's like, okay, you want to get into movies? I'm going to drive you as a 14-year-old down to the public access station and knock on the door and say, hey, teach him how to do this stuff. And she did.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not going to do it. I don't know what you're talking about. This is crazy. And they were like, they were very skeptical at first. They're like, why is this lady like pawning off her little 14-year-old kid on us?
Yeah.
And so they had me sitting around just watching them for a while. And I would go twice a week, just like in the evening, because it was a 24-hour public access station.
Yeah.
And eventually they let me like learn how to use the toaster machine to do like the star wipe and whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was all VHS based editing or beta cam or whatever they were using. And then they taught me how to use the cameras. And I did a talk show after that Mexico trip.
Yeah.
We learned about Montezuma's revenge.
Oh yeah.
The diarrhea that you get when you leave Mexico.
Yeah.
And my friend and I thought that was so funny. So my other friend Pete and I, we had a show called Monty's Visit. And so we do a live talk show.
You had your own show?
We did a talk show.
That's amazing. You hosted it?
Yeah, we had no plan. We had no plan. We just threw up some graphic that we made.
Yeah.
And we're just like, hey, we're live on TV. What's going on? Call in.
Amazing.
And we sat there, and people would call in and be like, what are you doing? You have no topics. You're not talk about the Twins. The Twins just played a great game tonight. Why aren't you talking about the Twins? And we're like, we don't watch the Twins, buddy. You talk about the Twins. All right, tell us about the Twins. What'd they do? Oh, was that cool? No, they hit a home run?
Yeah, Kirby Puckett hit a home
awesome. Yeah, so we're just mocking the audience, basically.
The 8 people assholes watching it.
Yeah. God, we were just jerks. But anyway, they let us do it because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And but yeah, I learned how to do so I would go to Blockbuster and I would rent kung fu movies, and I would go to the station and practice editing music videos out of movie highlights.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I would do like, I remember there was like a Mobb Deep song, and I cut all the mafia movies too, and I made like a rap video. And then I took like a techno song. I think it was like a who was it? Who like Cut Chemist or something like that. And I cut a bunch of kung fu clips to it. And I was just doing that. I was like renting movies and showing up.
Yeah.
But you didn't like bank your clips in a thing and then you pull them. It was like you live record, release.
Yep.
And you got to time it up. And so I learned how to do all that stuff. And then knew that, I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it. And then I decided I want to go to film school and do all that. So it was probably the summer that I had graduated high school before trying to start going to college that I was like, okay, well, I know I want to leave. I know I want to get away from here.
Yeah.
So I found a thing in Chicago where I could go, and I stayed on the near the University of Chicago campus. I found a room in like a co-op.
Yeah.
And I stayed there, and then I'd train into town and go to a 16 mm production class.
Yeah.
And then we shot and then cut on the little chopping block
Viola
thing. And I got 3rd place in the contest because I was one of 3 people whose film didn't catch on fire in the projector because I actually taped it together correctly. And then after that, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do. I had so much fun that I was hooked. And but I had to wait another year or two. I had to save up money to move back to Chicago. So I went to whatever. Yeah. And then just So school is a whole other thing. But I knew early on I was interested in it.
Yeah, I think to wrap it up, that's what got me through high school. Because by the end of the senior year, I was walking around with like vodka in my water bottle. Like I was just like,
there's nothing to live for.
I was just like,
Yeah, you're like, all right, I'll do it. Whatever. Fine.
Yeah, well, because I just like turned myself into this clown who was just the class clown, goofy guy. And I remember, like each class for me was just an opportunity to basically do material. Yeah, and just make everybody laugh.
Totally.
And
there's no plan. It's not like I got to get the grades because then I can start applying and then I can do.
I knew I was going to art school and they cared about the portfolio.
Yeah,
that's all they wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to graduate, but anyway, there was one day where a girl was like, "You should come up with some new material," and it just I was like, "What am I, fucking monkey? God, fuck this shit."
Yeah,
and
you don't deserve my material.
And it was totally my own doing.
Yeah.
They're like, well, if you're just going to ramble on every day.
It's going to be a dick.
Yeah, don't say the same thing. It's like, I had 3rd period with you. I went 6th period material.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, movies were the thing. And that was when Netflix first came out.
I think it hit me. It's like, you better try to get good at something or you're going to hate life.
Yeah. And that was, my dad sat me down, I think my sophomore year, where I was basically a C student. And he was just like, so you're serious about this film stuff, right? I was like, yeah, very. All right, then. And that was kind of it. Like it was,
Yeah, me too. It was like, there's no like, sure you don't like, what about you're interested in history and science? Like none of that.
No. Yeah.
It was like,
this is what I'm gonna do.
A thing that you actually enjoy. So just focus on that.
Yeah, because I would stay up all night, like editing. I ran the student news my senior year, and there was no supervision. It was whatever. I made a fake movie trailer called For the Scrabblers.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Is that when you made Pool Shark?
Yeah, Pool Jaws. Yeah, that was in a summer program. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, without movies,
that should be the release on Andy Show.
Yeah, that should be a daily upload.
Yeah.
I'll just put Pool Jaws out.
Just
no
context. Just Pool Jaws.
Yeah. We should call it something like Andy reveals his true name or something. And then it's just Pool Jaws.
Yeah, Pool Jaws. Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway, well, God bless movies, or else who knows where we'd be. Yeah.
Well, it was fun, dude.
Yeah, thank you for
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me
And I'll see you on the Andy Show
Yeah,
and
I'll
like
see you
tomorrow.
again. See you tonight and tomorrow and whenever.
Every other day.
Every other day.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, see ya.
That was the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's pretty clear in listening to it that I had a good time. Lots of laughter and just a great time. I also wanted to mention that Pat manages an awesome all-female heavy rock band, metal band called Dianthus. You can check them out. That's Dianthus. They have a new album coming out this month, and I've seen them live several times. They are awesome. Definitely check them out. That's all I've got for this week. Again, that's badtimesgoodstoriespod.com for past episodes, merch, and my Patreon page. Thank you to everyone who currently supports the show on Patreon. I really, truly, honestly, I don't know why I said honestly. I don't know why anyone would think I'm lying about that. But I truly appreciate your patronage. Until next Wednesday, keep laughing.